What does it mean after all that then to the table? City 13 points clear at the top, but now forced to wait a little bit longer to seal the title. They can't now win it at Wembley against Tottenham next weekend. But if they do win that, and it is coupled with Manchester United losing to bottom club West Brom, then City will be crowned champions next weekend. As far as United are concerned, well, they stay second. And as you can see, they're now 4 points clear of Liverpool with a game in hand. Quite incredible, really, where to start after all that. I mean, we've all been left breathless because, Ryan, as you said just then, you did not see that coming after the first half.
No, because City was so good and United was so poor, and it was roles reversed, especially the first half an hour, the second half. And you have to give tremendous credit to the Manchester United players and Jose Mourinho. They started the second half on the front foot, which they didn't in the first half. And like I said, once they scored that first goal, it looked like they were going to score every time they attacked.
Yeah. What must Pep Guardiola be thinking? It's the first time in his whole career that he's conceded 3 goals in consecutive games.
Yeah.
Very un-Pep-like.
Yeah, it is. And first loss they've had there in, 16 months, I think he said. But, you know, it's coming a week where this is where they needed to show up. And I think they were blasted by Liverpool the other day. And this will be shell-shocking for them in that dressing room. He's got to really get them going now, because you have to say that the season that they've had up to this point, Manish, and the plaudits they've had have been rightly so. They've been by far the best team in the league. But, you know, these 2 games is what people judge you on. The games like this is what they judge on. Yes, they'll probably go on and win the league, but I think that it's really put a dampener on it simply because they could have beaten Man United, won the league, done better in the game against Liverpool. Now they've got a game against Liverpool. If they lose that, then you have to say it's really going to bring it down for City.
What an incredible game then at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City, it was quite simply an incredible fight back from Manchester United at the Etihad Stadium. So let's now hear from United's match winner, Chris Smalling. Chris Smalling there, and quite rightly, answering questions about Paul Pogba. We spoke before the game how, you know, he was very much focus of the attention from Pep Guardiola 24 hours ago. Yeah. And he came out with what was an incredible second half performance.
Well, again, he was one of the people, he's always going to have criticism. He's always going to be under scrutiny. And especially with him and Mourinho's relationship. But I thought second half, you have to say, just got himself more forward. You know, he played the game simply, kept the ball moving along, and in the end, he got himself in position to nick those 2 goals and get himself going. But it wasn't a vintage Pogba performance, but the 2 goals will help him. Absolutely.
We'll look at Pogba's goals a little bit later, but as for the goal that ultimately decided this contest, he finished this like a seasoned striker, did Chris Smalling, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm really pleased for him. Obviously, he was at fault for Company's goal, but he did this in the last away game against Crystal Palace. So, yeah, maybe slightly offside, but he's got a lot. I mean, right, he'll know a lot better than me, but as a striker. But when you have time to think like that, it's much more difficult than just doing it instinctively. So it's a very good finish.
Especially with the ball coming in on that kind of angle as well. It's very easy to get it wrong, but he finished it well. But again, Otamendi, people like Otamendi, you saw how easy Chris Smalling got by him there. He's the kind of person that you've got to target in the City defence and try and put him under pressure. He's the same for the first goal, same for there again. He just easily brushed past, and he's somebody that is, for me, I think is a massive weak link for City, but don't get to exploit it enough teams.
Let's get a different perspective from pitch side at the Etihad Stadium. Andy Townsend, Shay Given, both, I suppose, were fortunate enough to witness it firsthand, although no doubt Shay will be a little bit disappointed by the eventual outcome. How do you go about making heads or tails of what we've just seen?
It's hard to work out. We said at half-time, Manish, that the Man United players looked deflated. They looked like they didn't know where they were. They were a bit lost, actually, coming off at half-time. And you've got to give Mourinho credit. I don't know what he said at half-time, but they came out a different team. And the 2 goals at the start of the second half were massive. And you could feel the whole atmosphere changing here. Me and Andy were sitting on the sideline. We were kind of right behind it in the angle, and we thought it was in. And he's just, you know, slow motion Sendiani do nothing for a goalkeeper, but that's a fantastic save. It's going away from him, and how he gets it up and over the bar from such close range as well. That's one of the saves of the season.
Ryan, brilliant. I've got to ask you, I mean, he just keeps doing it, doesn't he? David De Gea.
That's an extraordinary save.
Unbelievable.
The angle, I mean, Shay will know better than anyone, but that angle and to get the power over the crossbar, It has to be something special to beat David De Gea.
And then he's gone with the other arm there, Shay. I can't.
The thing is, right, if he goes with his left hand, he won't keep it out. You know, the ball, the header is actually going away from it. It's high up, and he's got to go with the right hand. If he goes with the other hand, and the thing as well, right, he's only got a split second to make that decision. It happens so quick. Yeah. The slow motion, you know, it's unbelievable. Save.
It's super.
And as Giggsy said, getting a strong hand to get it up and over the bar as well.
And that wasn't it, Manish. There were still chances. Again, there was that scramble where it hit Raheem Sterling and just bounced off him and hit the post. The goalkeeper knew nothing about this one.
Yeah,
he's incredible. He's actually that is going in the goal, Raheem Sterling. That is actually going in the goal.
Well, Raheem had one of them days, didn't he? He had 2 or 3 amazing chances first half, and here again, he got an equaliser, but. Oh, just so close.
You know, it's interesting. Raheem Sterling has scored 16 goals this season, which has been an incredible transformation, really, for him. And we can see, you know, what confidence he's taken to the international stage as well. But when he had those chances in the first half, they weren't instinctive finishes, were they? He almost had too much time to think about them.
Yeah, we said that, actually. We thought Raheem nearly finishes when he's got no time to think about it. They were really good chances. They weren't half chances. He's clean through and goal. He's got to hit the target. Ask the question of David De Gea, and he's just leaning back there as he goes to hit it.
Yeah, that was a fantastic opportunity. And again, this one here. And again, he's not got the best feet when it comes to finishing neat and crisp and getting those shots away with real snap on them. He's improved significantly this year, but in that moment, he looked a little bit like the Raheem Sterling we've seen from previous seasons, when he gets those opportunities and doesn't quite take them.
Ian, it's quite telling, isn't it, for a player that scored 16 goals, but you're never quite convinced that he'll finish those chances off winning those situations.
No, I think that what you have to know, the last few steps you have before you're going on to finish, like, especially when you've got a defender coming or the goalie, you've got to get those quick steps in so you sort your feet out quicker. When you watched him, he never sorted himself. He was still coming across towards the left with the first chance, so his body's not even in the right position. And then the second one, he's actually leaning away, doesn't sort himself out, doesn't get his feet sorted so he can pick a side, and then, you know, it goes over the bar. Anytime I see one that goes over the bar, I'm always thinking that he's got to be leaning back and he hasn't got his feet sorted. It's all about technique.
Interesting how Pep Guardiola will react to that. Shay, what do you think? Will it be an arm round the shoulder of Raheem Sterling?
Probably. I mean, it's how Pep's going to react actually to the next game, because we said they've conceded 6 goals, lost 2 games in a row. Probably hasn't happened all season, I wouldn't have thought. And the confidence you can see the lads, the City lads coming off at the end, they're probably scratching their head a little bit. How have they lost that game? But they've got such a massive game here on Tuesday night against Liverpool in the second leg. And how does he pick these guys up off the floor now?
Yeah, well, that's Sterling, who had a bit of trouble in front of goal, it has to be said. Not really the case for Paul Pogba, who, despite disappointing the first 45, certainly put in a telling contribution in the second half. 2 goals in a matter of, 98 seconds. This was an unbelievable turnaround from him.
Yeah, it was. Look, I felt a bit sorry for him first off. I saw Pogba, Sanchez, Lingard. All they were doing first 45 minutes was tracking back towards their own goal. Look, Paul Pogba has got to be given a bit of a licence to be able to express himself. He has to. If Jose's going to tie him down so much, so significantly, you are not going to see anything from him. Second half, we saw a completely different Pogba when all of a sudden he's got the licence, Shay, to get in the box and to make the difference.
It's like Mourinho said to him at half-time. He just took the shackles off him and just says, go and play. We've seen this with Juventus, obviously getting into forward positions and scoring goals. And he was... This is the Paul Pogba we've seen of France, of course, in Juventus. And we haven't seen enough of this at Man United, but...
Great combination.
He's changed the game around, himself with the 2 great goals.
Yeah, lovely chest that from Ander Herrera. Good run from Pogba. You know, not an easy finish, but makes sure that he takes care with that. And from that moment, United very much back in the game. I think significantly, almost straight away, you could see a very different United as soon as they're back in it.
I tell you what, when you look at that, one of the things, again, I'm digging him out a bit, Otamendi, he makes some really poor decisions. He's got himself in a position there with Sanchez where Sanchez hadn't had to do too much to beat him. He's got to hold him up. He's going away from goal. Then the ball goes inside. He doesn't make any effort to get back in there. And he is someone, for me, Otamendi, that you've got to try and isolate him and get him under pressure.
Righty, he commits to everything full-blooded, Otamendi. He dives into challenges, and you're absolutely right. When maybe if he just gave himself half a yard to just think about things, just delay people, but he doesn't. He always feels like he's got to go and affect the ball and make a challenge. And you're right, Sanchez spun him too easily.
So after Pogba's first goal in 4 months, he got his second 98 seconds later, which was quite an incredible turnaround, really.
Well, it's funny because before half-time, we didn't have enough time, Manish, because I wanted to say, get Sanchez off and get Rashford on. And as soon as I said it, he's had a hand in all 3 goals. But again, he does that. You know he's going to come inside on his right foot when he does that. Ball made another great run in there. And the thing with this, it's a little bit behind Pogba. He's really done well to direct this on ball in is fantastic. Brilliant goal.
Great finish, Andy, from him.
Brilliant stuff. And I'm delighted for him because, you know, he's had a tough period lately. He's had a particularly tough last 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, what's been going on between agent and clubs, etc., etc. That's not easy to handle. And after his first 45 minutes, like everybody in a red shirt, very disappointed. All credit to him. That shows a proper player who can pick himself up and make the difference when his team really need to.
Well, it's been fascinating getting your perspective from pitch side. Andy Schaefer now, we'll be hearing from you a little bit later in the programme, but for now, thanks very much, Indy. Just want to explore one thing that you mentioned and what the gents there talked about. In some respects, the handbrake was on in the first half. Why then did they play the second half? Was it something that the players took upon themselves to play that way, or was that the instruction from the manager?
Well, you see the first goal, intent. They kept the ball, but then they had 7 players in and around the box. Herrera, a midfielder, who got nowhere near the City box in the first half, is chesting it down for Pogba. Third man running. It's intent. It's getting players in the box. Sanchez out on the right. Lukaku in the box. They've got players in goal-scoring positions. First half, we didn't see that. We didn't see him on the front foot. Like Andy said, all the players were running back towards their own goal rather than towards the City goal. So as soon as that intent changed and you're on that front foot, you feel it as a footballer. Give me the ball. You see Pogba, in both goals, he's involved in the build-up. And that's what his game should be about. Involved in the build-up, get it wide, then get in the box. He's a player who should be scoring 15 to 20 goals a season with the ability that he's got.
Interesting to know what the half-time team talk was like in the United dressing room. In fact, we can hear from the United boss, Jose Mourinho. Interesting perspective from Jose Mourinho, not on only Paul Pogba, but the fact that they're just 6 points away now from claiming a top 4 place. And for him, that's his end game ultimately. But interesting there, and he was pursued on that questioning in terms of being irked by this perception that United aren't playing particularly well. But they did seem, and we've already talked about this and touched upon it, Ryan, just moments ago, that they did play as if the handbrake was on in that first half. Is that down to Jose Mourinho or not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's a manager who sets them up, but ultimately, when the players go on the pitch, like I said at half-time, a Manchester United player needs to be able to pass to another Manchester United player. You do possession every day in training. That's the basics. But players running with the ball, players not showing angles, weight of pass not being good enough, that's not good enough for Manchester United. Second half, it was. And you see the difference that it gives you, it makes you... It builds your confidence as the game goes on. And doing the simple things, just getting the basics right. And then gradually, the ability of the individuals will shine through.
Almost reflected from what we saw against Swansea last weekend, where United were thoroughly dominant against Trafford. The second half, it looked like they were very keen to close, close shop from then on in. And that's the thing that I suppose irks United fans, is that it stops them from seeing opponents through with another 2 or 3 goals.
Well, I don't think anybody thinks that Mourinho's a bad manager. I think his record and that shows that. And everybody knows that Man United are a really, really good team, very good football team.
Does he shackle them?
I believe he does. He's saying that he wanted his defenders to play out, but then, Chris Smalling and Bailly to play out. Even if you're getting Pogba coming in, Herrera, and he's saying he wanted his wingers to come in and help the midfielders. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that. So as they can continue to try and pass it in there, pass it to him. If you can't get the space, at least you're moving Manchester City about. I didn't see any of that. The second half, yes, they built more confidence. They moved themselves 10, 15 yards further up the pitch. And then the quality of Sanchez, the quality, and that, then it started to tell. But I think that him saying that people don't think he's a good manager, don't think his team's good, the fact that Man United could play 40% better than they're doing. And I think that they should be a lot closer to Manchester City with the players they've got right now.
The games, Liverpool away, Anfield, where were there for the taking. Didn't play well. City at home. That, I think, was 7 points between the two teams at that time. If you win that game, it could be a completely different season. So in the big games, we've seen the goals away from home in the big not good enough. Obviously, today it showed everyone against the best team by a million miles this season that United have got the players to do that.
And do you agree with Wrighty what he just said there, Ryan, that United players 40% more to give?
Well, they have to. They have to. Next year, they have to do that. Because otherwise, City will win the league again.
Yeah.
Because of the quality that they've got, the transfer window, they're going to improve, they're going to get better players. So Manchester United, every season, whoever wins the Premier League, the teams beneath them have to improve. Yeah. So Manchester United have to next year.
Despite all that, the 3 points went to Manchester United.